Howdy everyone, and welcome to the July channel update. Black Shadow here, hope you're keeping fairly well. Gonna try and keep this fairly swift and short, but let you know that overall things are starting to progress pretty decently for the channel. Getting back into producing content has been fairly decent. And on that matter, I just want to quickly thank everyone who swung by over on Twitch on Saturday night. As we embarked upon our first stream for the Silent Hill 3 Melee only run. It went really well, it was really well attended, everyone was really lively, and is probably one of the better streams that I've done in some time. It was also nice to see some face I hadn't seen as well for a little while too, so huge thanks to everyone for that. Very, very much appreciative of this. The series will be coming over to YouTube in the near future, but I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a short moment. Indeed, as far as content's concerned on the channel, there have been various bits and pieces coming up here, but they have all admittedly been ports from streams from Twitch, particularly delving into our Doom series. I went and played Dooms 1 and 2 for the first ever time a couple of weeks or so back. I'd never played a Doom game. It's pretty bad, everyone. I'm not going to lie. So I went and played through both Dooms 1 and 2 in their own streams. Also bits and pieces as well. We chilled it with some puzzling with Professor Layton as well before the aforementioned Silent Hill run. These runs have been largely getting ported over to the YouTube. Oh, God. These runs have been largely getting ported over to the YouTube, but just a disclaimer that I wouldn't guarantee that being the case going forward. This is partially due to the fact that at this moment in time, my business with hidden assets, so the Dune stuff, is on a reduced schedule at the moment. We've just finished the Uprising tournament I've been casting and hosting. That was finished a few days or so ago, and we're on effectively a bit of a summer break until the next competition, which will be in a little while. While there'll be some light content producing over there, it's not going to be anywhere near as taxing on my time, at least for the time being. So I am looking to use some of this time to work on projects here with this channel instead. Once this gets back underway a bit more thoroughly, I would not expect as many of these streams to make it over to YouTube, except some select ones. There will be more that will be exclusive for Twitch, which will disappear after a couple of weeks unless I remember to highlight them, which is something that I tend to forget to do, so be careful about that. For that matter, we are going to be finally getting back to doing some original series here on the channel. I know it's been a little while, and I get that, it's fine. But I have been, as I kind of alluded to, I think back in June, slightly stalling for the Steam Summer Sales, because I knew I'd be able to pick up a few titles on discount, because, you got to stretch those pennies, kids. I've had to learn how to live that way, and, sometimes you could be a bit patient. Anyways, getting back to the point here, we are going to be getting a start on Final Fantasy X-2 in the very near future. TM, italicized, parenthesized, in bold, underlined, all that sort of good stuff. It was originally slated to look to do this hopefully some point last year, and then that very quickly fell through. But having done the original Final Fantasy X some years back now, I have been interested to give us a crack with X-2, which is quite a fun game and, fairly chilled and laid back, not the most, serious and over-encompassing Final Fantasy game needed. And it has been some time since I've done like an RPG as such. I mean, I know obviously went and did Troubleshooter, which I did really enjoy and is kind of RPG-ish, but it's like RPG in the sense that XCOM's an RPG, you know what I mean? So in any event though, but X-2 is really fun, and I'll be looking forward to cracking into that. I'm hoping to get recording on this week, maybe to get uploads to this started next week is the rough plan. But give or take a few days on both sides, we'll see how we go. Another title that has been catching my eye, but I haven't yet admittedly pulled the trigger on, is the Tomb Raider Remaster Collection. This is the remastering from back in February, which I know that Shotgun Jen, friend of the channel and such, has been playing on stream and has really, really heavily rated it. And is a series that I am yet to touch on this channel, even though that Tomb Raider does have a bit of history amongst the family, which I've never really talked about. And I have indeed played the opening 3 games, though it's been some time. I've never been overly keen to do the original games on this channel because I just didn't think that they had aged that particularly great, Wolf Beings, being honest. So when I got news of this, I was definitely excited, and from what I've seen over on Gen streams, they've done a pretty good job of these. But as I said, I haven't yet pulled the trigger on this. If it is something that you guys might be interested in seeing me covering this, it would be almost certainly done as a local series. Then do let me know, and I'll probably look to go ahead and pick this up. And some of you probably have even given this a spin as well. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that they've done a really good job. I also like the fact that you can kind of change intermittently between kind of the original look and then the sort of the reshaded remastering sort of look here as well. So, you know, you can't fault that. And obviously Tomb Raider, very, very classic series, and I definitely have a lot of memories from playing the likes of like Tomb Raider 3 especially. I definitely remember quite a lot. So, you know, see how we go basically on that. And that's probably the extent of what I've got planned in the short term. Again, knowing I've kind of got this sort of 6 to 8 week window, and there's a chance for me to kind of look to get on with some of the content here. As we push into the autumn and the winter, I would imagine, hopefully I'll be able to get 10-2 fairly decently finished by then. You know, 10-2 is not the longest game in the world unless you start really delving into some of the side stuff. I don't need to show all of that. Although the remaster does include some content that I'm familiar with, and some that I definitely do not know. That was introduced, I believe, like in the international versions, and there's a lot of different versions of the game. It's all a bit confusing. So regards to that, but yeah, we'll go into sort of the autumn and winter, and then I'll probably look to delve back into doing like some local horror series, that sort of thing. Maybe even make a return to some of the older stuff I've kind of mentioned about, like doing like Link to the Past blind, stuff like that, which has come up. So that is something for me to look at post Final Fantasy X, because I know it's going to be a meaty project. Something I'm going to need to do a little bit of research into, because it has definitely been quite a while. As far as a lot of the horror stuff that I'm going to be probably doing in the short term, a lot of it is probably going to end up being streamed over on Twitch. Again, we've currently got Silent Hill 3. We also have the imminent return for Resident Evil Outbreak coming as well. The Terror mod, which is now currently being planned in our Discord server, and is currently penciled in for a start date potentially of July the 9th. I will confirm that date with you guys once that is fully confirmed, and assuming that is the case, we will be delving into our redive of Resident Evil Outbreak File 2 specifically, which it has been a long time since I have played it on this channel. I have been doing a bit of practice off stream to come up what I'm doing. The Terror mod, if you're not aware, is effectively a kind of a reimagining of the game, with sort of repathing, change of enemies, but overall it is a difficulty mod as well. Makes the game a lot more challenging, a lot of randomization, throwing things at you where you wouldn't expect, but it also does its best to incorporate sort of the lesser used mechanics of the Outbreak series, and kind of encouraging you to kind of do different things in different orders. So if you think, say, like, for those of you who know the game a bit more, like the flashback persona, for example, most of the time you kind of wander through the forest, you go to the hospital, you do the stuff there, and you leave. But there is, like, a whole side thing with, like, with finding a woman's daughter in the forest, but if you do that, that's its own path. Whereas this will, like, try and combine the two in some degree and allow some backwards and forwardsing. And what else? So, from what I've seen of it, it's been really impressive. I think they've done a really good job of it. And we will be bringing back some veterans of the game from the channel's history in order to tackle that. So keep an eye out for that, and that series almost and most likely be finding its way onto the YouTube as well. That's probably about everything that I can think of. Again, try not to make this go too long. Again, if there's always questions, you can ask me in the comment section below. I'm sure there's bits and pieces I've forgotten. I know there were also some suggestions for a couple of titles for me to look to delve into in the previous update video, and there's a couple of those that have actually taken some of my interest for sure. And again, I'll be looking at those either post Final Fantasy if I do them locally, or they might maybe pop up like on a Tuesday stream or something like that as well. We are sort of streaming regularly now on Twitch on Saturdays and Tuesdays, starting at about sort of like 5-6 UK time. Subject to a little bit of change, and what I am making sure to do as well over on our Discord server, of which there is a link of that in the description below, is I am now using the events functionality as well to kind of help schedule that and broadcast those times, and occasionally throwing a post over on YouTube to say about Go Live, doing things that I think might be of interest to you guys as well. I do know that the audiences that I have between one and the other are a little bit different, and that's kind of why I try to do my streaming over on Twitch. I don't necessarily broadcast on YouTube. I do think there are sort of two different types of audiences, and while, you know, Twitch is sometimes imperfect, to put things mildly, it's still a service that I've found reasonably okay for the time being, and again, if we have more streams that we did on Saturday, we will be doing plenty fine, so hopefully that is going to be the case there. Also, I suppose I should give also the cheap plug as well. We do even have a Patreon on the channel as well, which I should probably do a better job with, truthfully, in keeping it up to date. But for if you fancy making any kind of contribution to the channel, you know, to allow me to keep doing this, and to allow it to continue to be self-sufficient, and knowing that there's probably a certain Silent Hill series coming in the next few months, which I might need a touch of support for, this might be a decent way to contribute via this. I also do have a Ko-Fi link as well. I believe that is linked in the YouTube descriptions as well, or at the very least, I believe it's linked here as well. So if you fancy making any tips and such, then feel free to do so. But that's going to do it for us here, because I've got to go get ready. I'm doing a stream over on Hidden Assets in about 45 minutes from recording, or probably about the time this video gets up live. I'm doing in a one-day competition, which I'm going to be streaming my progression of. So I've got to go ahead and get ready for that. But other than that, you know, thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you guys fairly soon.